I'm on mute. Sorry, guys. Let's try that again. Hey, everyone. It's Thursday, April 30th, and I want to welcome you to our snack break today. I'm Jen Stone from Source, and I'm going to give you all a quick orientation of the webinar tool before I introduce our guest today. You're muted automatically, but that doesn't mean that we want to be the only ones doing the talking. You all have access to the live chat where you can send a message or questions to the whole group. If you have trouble with the audio or viewing the presentation, feel free to check the box to send privately. You can test out the chat now by dropping in your favorite emoji or let us know what you're snacking on. And feel free to chat in questions anytime during the presentation. If we don't answer in real time, we'll make sure to cover it during our Q&A at the end of the presentation today. You can also adjust the ratio of the video to slides by dragging the black slider underneath the speaker video. Also, the recording of this webinar will be sent to you after we wrap up the live event. So if you missed anything or if you want to share with a friend, you'll be able to do that. All right, now I'd like to introduce our guest today, Jeff Lang from Daltile. Jeff is the rep for Oregon and will be introducing their new RevoTile. Jeff, thanks for, so great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad everyone's staying safe. Glad everyone can work virtually. It's nice to work with you guys. Now unfortunately I do have to work out of the office again, so I'm not at home anymore, but I do have my snacks with me, which are my Easter candy still from that I'm working through. Reese's are my all-time favorite. And if some of you guys already do know me, you know I usually don't look like this. I do have a cousin who's a firefighter, so we did a big fundraiser. He did a big fundraiser. They sent me over a message. We shaved all our beards off and left this, and then I got an immediate bad response from my wife, so it's growing back, but it won't look like this forever. These are my cute kiddos over here. I have 3 kids under 3. I'm actually from the masonry industry, grew up building brick walls with my family who own a masonry contracting company, and then I've been with Dal for about 2 years. So still learning the porcelain stone game, or porcelain ceramic game, but I'm pretty good at knowing how to stick something against a wall and make it stay there. So make sure you always can ask me technical questions. If I don't know it, I'll be sure to get to you guys right back away if I don't know it right then. RevoTile is something I wanted to introduce today, especially with Source, because Source has become this great platform for sharing of ideas in the industry where we don't usually see a lot of the time. And so what really will be a great opportunity for me is to be able to get you guys in a place where we can see that this is something that's different, it's unique. What I'll pull up here is a little video to introduce what I'm referring to. Actually, I'm gonna do one more slide first. RevoTile is essentially a click fit system very similar to LVT, but imagine with a porcelain tile. So what we do is we take existing product lines that we already have and we use something called click fit technology, which is made of a composite PVC-free, phthalate-free composite that we then bond to the existing tile, like what you're seeing right here. And then we go ahead and we click those right into a whole system, which is a floating system above substrate. So what I'll show you right here is a quick little YouTube video we have on our YouTube page, Daltile YouTube. You'll see right here is them just placing an underlayment over the surface of the substrate. Take the tiles out, place them against a wall in a standard room. And then once you just have a little bit of room for expansion that you're seeing right here, you can run right down the room, bam, 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 as fast as you want. It's as simple as an LVT click where you just lay it right in, lay down the system, and you're good to go. Now, I know this looks a little too good to be true, and tile in and of itself has been a very, those guys are really specialized and know how to do it, they've done it for a long time, etc. So I know the idea of saying you can just look at it and really learn this sounds a little too scary, but I promise it is that simple and that easy. The first time I did it, we laid about 100 square feet in probably 20 minutes. It was, you just get the rhythm down and then you can just run with it. Like you can see here, if you want to make a cut, you can use a scoring and a snapping tool. And then if you really want to be more precise, you can just use a wet sawtooth. The composite breaks way easier than the porcelain does. There's a couple of big advantages of this if you guys are thinking through this really strategically like I am for your projects. First thing is the amount of time that you go with the tile installation in general. Usually if we have a mortar traditional setup where you're adhering the tile actually to the subfloor, what you're going to see is you're going to have about a day for prep, maybe hopefully less than that, but usually a day. Then you're going to have your day of actual install with actually mounting the tile to the substrate itself. There we go. And then you're going to have the date. You're going to have to wait a day for after you actually set the tile down to let the mortar cure until it's strong enough to let it actually be walked on, and then you can come back and grout it. With this, Jen and I could walk into a room right now, lay down and underlay it, click it all together, grout it, and walk out and be done in one day. So the labor cost savings that you're going to see on this are going to be dramatic. The material costs, our cord line, for example, that's one of the concrete lists we have available. That is usually sold for like $3 a square foot. That would be something like a budgetary price I would give you guys. RevoTile, that product with Revo technology or the ClickFit technology on it is $3.60 a square foot. So this is not like a big upcharge in the product or anything like that. This is something where we're calling it RevoTile because we expect it to revolutionize the tile industry. This is something that's very doable to do, but because Daltile, I like to think of it as a cruise line. We're very large and we take a long time to get there, but when we come, we're not a little bass boat. We bring slides, we bring everything with us. So you get all of the backing behind it, you get all the testing that's been done on this for a long time. And because of that, we're even a little bit cautious. We're like, okay, let's make sure we go into this slow, but we'll make sure we do it really well. So right now we're just saying, okay, it's for light commercials, for offices, for basic, floors only, basic applications. I want to put this in like in a big mall. And not that's because the system couldn't handle it yet, just because we're getting used to this still. This was launched as services just in February. It's only a couple months ago. So we wouldn't recommend it for a shower system currently. I think it could do it just fine. But for now, we're just going to say don't do that. Keep it in a pretty basic setting. Some coordinating products, like I mentioned, this is, let me pull the spec sheet here. This is already being placed on existing product lines that we have. So since this launch of surfaces, we came out with a bunch of wood looks like you'll see right over here, some stony, marbly, and then like one concrete. And if you know anything about tile, like the opposite end of this part, especially in our industry, is very true. There's just as many of these options, but since this is launching slowly, we're starting simple. I expect in 6 months, this area is going to be twice the size of this area. So the commercial side is kind of secondary for this products category because we see so much opportunity with the DIY Home Depot people who can take this, get their weekend project done, and be happy, like we're all doing right now. It's like we saw the future with COVID or something. Any questions so far? Have I freaked anybody out?
I mean, you're kind of freaking me out, but I'm into it.
Jen's a tile person, so she knows what.
I totally see the benefits. This is kind of groundbreaking.
I'm losing. Here we go. So that is RevoTile in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Source, especially. Like I mentioned before, their website is a really nice place to find products like this that are just different from other things that you see out there in the market. So if you don't have any questions, I think that's all I've got, Jen. Oh, I saw one from Nicole.
Yeah, can you have customizations on the tile on top?
What kind of customizations? Are you talking about like a logo that we water jet cut or mosaic mural or something like that? Like a different, oh, okay. So we require 50,000 square feet on a job as a minimum if you wanted to have any special product on there, not just because of the quantities that we are required to have. If you guys are familiar with tile production in general, the way this works is we have to heat up these big ovens called kilns, and they take like days to get hot. So if we ever make a change in the line, that usually requires a lot of volume, and we have to then shut down the kiln for. So there's always that game they're playing out of like, okay, if we shut it down for this long, it's going to drop the temperature that much, and we're going to have to play with that. It's going to affect our costs, and it becomes a whole hot mess. So it's not a huge, it's just more the quantity is what you're paying attention to at that point. It's probably way more than you wanted to know, Nicole.
No, that makes sense. That's good to know. Oh, Casey has a question. Is this item stocked in the Northwest?
It is. So we stock each location for that Daltile has is stocks different product lines. We have several distribution centers regionally. So the closest one in the Northwest is in Ontario, California. Usually that means a week long lead time to get it up here. So nothing significant at all.
Cool, perfect. I have a question. Are you able to install this like the traditional way if you did want to put it in an airport or a higher traffic commercial setting?
So if you liked, say you found the RevoTile product on Source's website, you loved it, but you just couldn't use it, the client wasn't running with it. These are, again, all standard product lines. We're just adding this technology to it and then bonding it to the tile, essentially. So you can just spec the normal tile in your project. And I'll even show you here, going back to this slide that I was referring to earlier. If you were to see on here, I don't know if I can zoom in on this, maybe not. But what you can see on these little cut sheets that we have here is we've actually rebranded all of the RevoTile products to have their own code. So if you like the core product that was like a concrete look, that's technically RB90 instead of the original core code. So you don't have to specify it in kind of odd way. It's just type in the code, you're good to go. So use the other ones. Use the other products that are similar. If you want to still use it in a traditional application, and I can send you guys over a cross sheet over to that'll show you this one means this one, etc.
Cool. What thickness is the tile? I have so many questions. I'll just keep going.
They vary. So most of the time, you're not seeing anything lower than 3/8 right now, especially with this line at least. But most tiles are around 3/8 is your general thickness. There are 1 or 2 lines that are 5/16. But that's about as thick as you would ever see. Mm-hmm. Or excuse me, not 5/16, 5/8. Big difference there.
Cool. I have another. What is my other question? Oh, for the edges, or like, what kind of grout joint would you get with that? Would it be like an 1/8 inch? Is it rectified, or what does that look like?
Good question. Each product line is different. So, like the pressed wood looks, those are more traditional 3/8 inch grout joints. With a concrete look that we have, for example, that's a rectified, so you can go down to an 1/8 inch on that one. The system in and of itself, like you saw there, since it's floating, you do get a lot more expansion and contraction, which is nice. You get more movement in the floor, and you're not have to worrying about that. But since there's more movement in there, you need to accommodate for that in the system. So we do recommend that you place about double the amount of control joints that you normally would in a system. That way, it kind of just lets itself move around. If anybody doesn't know what a control joint is, please reach out. That's a very important thing. Tile setting in general. You'd be shocked if you do know what a control joint is. You'd be shocked how many people don't. Jen's like shaking her head. She's like, "Yeah, preach."
Nicole says, "What is a control joint?"
What is a control joint? A control joint is a joint that you leave specifically laid open in the grouting process so that you can use a different material besides grout to allow for movement between the two pieces. So usually instead of a grout, you would use a silicone. And a silicone has greater flexibility to allow the tile to contract and expand. So you need to allow for certain tolerances between certain tile sizes, depending on how they're going to move and what the material is made out of. And that's just not with tile, it's with any material. Any material contracts.
Cool. Thanks for explaining that. I have one final question for me. Actually, before I move on to me, we'll give Nicole more attention. What are the tolerances?
Tolerances in terms of flatness?
I think that's probably what she means. Oh, control joint.
Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. The tolerances as far as the control joint goes.
Oh, the control joint. So you're looking at every 100 square feet per TCNA guidelines. So it's pretty standard. You're still following the same TCNA guidelines that you would, just double that. So I believe the TCNA guidelines currently are 200 square feet, I want to say, and then we're going back down to 100 square feet for this one. Am I wrong on that, Jen?
I forget. I think that's pretty close.
I get lost. This is why we have books that say all that stuff.
I always refer to TCNA. Also, I wanted to ask you about slip resistance and if there's any exterior. It sounds like this is just an interior product. Is that right? But what are the slip resistances like?
This is where I start to get torn. So the tiles we recommend we are using this with Some of them we would rate for exterior use. Because the installation method is so new, we're going to say no for the moment. If you want to get creative, reach out to me and we could talk about your project. That might work. Frankly, the company is kind of one of those like, oh, we could try it when we think we're ready, but it's like, okay, when you're gonna be ready, let's just do it. We'll try it and we'll see if it works. So I think you would be fine, frankly. It depends obviously on the nature of your exterior method. If this is like a deck and a pedestal system, not really quite the right thing. But you've got some drainage underneath on the deck, or you just want to run it outside in a yard. There are some other things we can talk about or think about that with.
Cool. Is there like more like gritty, higher slip resistant finishes then?
So the finishes don't vary as much, especially with the nature of how we produce our products. TCOF testing, or dynamic coefficient of friction testing, is always done with the tile just by itself. So there's never a grout accommodated for it even in that testing, which should give you some reassurance in general, because you just know that if you're going to have a finished installation, it's going to be even better than what the tile company is even just saying. That being said, most of the time what you'll see is we'll rate it for a specific environment. So we'll say, hey, it's appropriate for shower floors, or it's appropriate for the exterior, etc. And that's not because we've added anything to it. It's just inherent in the nature of the product when we manufactured it. So for example, with some of our products that are over 0.60 or greater, one of the ways we'll do that is we'll bake really tiny fine silica sands into the actual bisque before we fire it. So that is embedded right into the tile itself. You're never getting that thing off.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. All right. Well, before we wrap up, drop in any other questions you might have in the chat. And I'll give you a minute to put those in. Just a reminder that a recording of this will be sent to everybody tuning in after we wrap up, and that on Monday, we're going to be hosting Brianna Anastasi from McGrory Glass. And you can go to our events page at tothesource.com to register for those upcoming snack breaks and to watch in the archive videos there. And here's a link I'm going to throw out that you can get to the latest blog post from Daltile featuring this product.
Nice. And thank you, Jen, for the stuff you guys are doing for the industry as a whole. It's nice to have a place where even manufacturers, where we get together and we can actually see what the trends are. It's nice to have designers all going in one place. So thank you for all the stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. That's really nice of you. And we're happy to, have great partners like you. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend, and happy snacking. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.